Hey guys, I'm Jasmine, and welcome to my descriptive speech assignment. So what I did was I just went ahead, and the topic that I want to go ahead and talk about was our online comments and or offensive content, like when people use blackface and racial slurs and they're fighting online. Is that enough ground to be fired and expelled from school? So when we were given this prompt, that was just something that really stood out to me because it's something we've been seeing a lot in the media lately. For my three social media platforms, I decided to do Reddit, the Facebook group, and Twitter. So Twitter, because I am on Twitter every day, it's the social media that I use most often, and I'm really familiar with, the debating and how the opinion sharing goes on there. On Facebook, I just really wanted to get a group of like-minded people like myself. So of course, it was our class group. And so, we're all interested in communications. We're all interested in the University of Georgia. So just to see some people that kind of come from a place that I come from mentally, to kind of see where their head's at. And then Reddit, I know the rubric did say that we needed to go ahead and do something we're familiar with, but I decided to do some learning about Reddit because everyone says it's a really popular online opinion sharing site, and I absolutely love it. I think it was great, and I'll pretty much use this going forward from now on to just get my everyday news. But what I did kind of change was the wording on some of the questions for the different platforms. Again, because Reddit is solely for kind of like online opinion sharing, I kind of gave a little more preface. So I just say here in the media recently, there's been several cases of students and workers losing their scholarships and jobs because of things that they posted online. On Facebook, it was a little more informal. So I kind of started off with, hey guys, for the project, I just do this because we're all pretty much familiar with what we're being asked for the project. And then on Twitter, I just, again, a little shorthand, a little more informal because just is something that I'm on a lot. So, to please respond to your opinions. Do you think that people, putting these things online, is that grounds for their expulsion and their suspension, etc. So I got some really, really good responses on, Reddit. One thing that really stood out to me was when someone said the medium that the statement is made on bears no effect on how offensive it is. And I think that is something I will definitely take with me. I think when I thought about it, and when you're analyzing situations, it's a little different when you're actually giving these things some thought versus when you're just scrolling on your timeline or on your news feed. For the communications, of course, I just did a small poll and I saw that 4 people went ahead and said yes, they knew the consequences before they posted, and then 2 people said depends, but I didn't really get anybody to say no, that like they shouldn't be reprimanded for the things that they've done. And I did go ahead and comment on some of these, and on Reddit and Facebook, I didn't have much luck with the after comments. I know that Twitter is a little more real time, so I got a lot more traction and more like back and forth communication on Twitter than I did with these, but that's okay. I know going forward to kind of just try to boost it a little more. One thing that I really did love about doing this was definitely this conversation that I had with this young lady. Her name was @_Coco Dream. I think she goes to UGA. And what we did, we were able to kind of just talk about the things that have been going on in the media, and we were able to talk about what are some solutions that we should use going forward if we're not going to just expel them outright. Like, what are some solutions we could use? And I throughout the idea, maybe we should do some like insensitivity training just to, let them know that their actions do affect others. And then one thing she said that really stuck out to me was, it's sad to see those people who do see the error of their ways and want to change, but they're not given a chance to redeem themselves because they have their lives ruined instead. So that really stuck out to me because when you're scrolling on the timeline, you're like, yay, they got what they deserved. But you're never really thinking, hey, this is a person, they may have made a mistake, they may be open to change. And that's something that I really took with me, and I really just loved that the opinion sharing really made me have a more well-rounded opinion. So that was really something good. One thing that I love was that I believe I was heard on all forums. I believe that because it's something so popular, something that's so in the now, and so right now, it was something that did gain a little bit of traction because of just my choice of topic. The only thing that I would say is, one thing that I did learn was some topics are definitely more controversial than others. Of course, this was not an, pro-life or, a gun laws argument, but it was a argument that does have some traction, and there's also just a general consensus. So there's not really a 50-50 here. It's more of like a 80-20 from what I'm seeing. So you have your certain people that do say, hey, maybe they shouldn't be, but most people generally agree that they should. And I do believe I was heard, loud and clear about what I wanted to hear. And I think that deliberation is definitely the responsibility of both parties. As you can see in this comment here, I tried to, go ahead and ask, because I think the deliberation is two-sided. So as the poster or the owner of the post, it's kind of my responsibility to keep that dialogue going. So I just wanted to ask, do you think expulsion is necessary in some cases and not all? Just kind of trying to spark that conversation back up. So one thing that I could definitely recommend for everyone to do is to try the polls trend. I absolutely love it, and I think it was one of the greatest things I could have done. I know Facebook and Twitter rolled out polls a few months ago, and I know Instagram just rolled out polls on their stories maybe like in the last week or so, but I think it's really good. And I know some people use them as like funny, what should I eat today, or should I do this or should I do that, but I was able to kind of use it and say, hey, how do you guys feel about this and this? And so it just kind of gives you a feel about how your friends and how your followers feel about certain situations and certain topics. And it really makes you a more well-informed citizen, most definitely. So I would definitely say that just taking into consideration all of the platforms and, the topic at hand, I think that this project was an absolute success, and I really will use this in the real world, and I absolutely can't wait to use Reddit more. Just in conclusion, I really just feel like that this topic in general is just a really good one. It kind of spark up a little friendly debate, nothing too serious. And I just feel like we should always go forward and with an open mind and kind of seeing where people have, their own opinions, and they're not always our own. And just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make them a mean person, but just take those opinions with you and go forward. And thank you so much for letting me present my project.